guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back, and it is Thursday, March 28th, and Q has been busy today, and we will get to those eventually. However, we need to catch up on the drops from yesterday. Now, I had every intention yesterday of catching all the way up, and I had done 2 videos and uploaded them, and by that time it was after midnight, and I discovered that Q had been very, very busy while I had been recording. So I thought by the time I get this decoded and look at this and get an understanding of it and record, it's going to be really late, and I'm going to be sitting here with toothpicks holding my eyes open, and who the heck wants to look at that? Not me. So anyway, let's get started with the drops from yesterday, because the sooner we get those over with, the sooner we can go on to today. All right, let's get started. Now, and I just made the biggest batch of chili. Absolutely wonderful chili. Actually, my chili is so hot it'll blow the lips right off your head, but yeah, I had a big bowl, and I think I still have some of the meat in my teeth, but I'll just save that as a snack for later. And let me tell you, while I was making the chili, I discovered something very, very odd about my kitten, Sammy, because I had rinsed the beans and had them in a colander sitting in the sink. I'd rinsed them in cold water, and I'd turned back to the stove to add my spices and all that. And within like a second, I mean, it was lightning fast, that cat was up, grabbed a bean out of the colander, and ran off. So all these thoughts are going through my head. Are beans toxic to cats? Is it going to hurt him? What's he going to do with it? Am I going to find a rotten bean under somewhere, you know? So anyway, I catch up to him, and I take the bean away from him, and it's half eaten at that point. And I take the bean away from him. Well, doesn't he just run as fast as he can up there, just vaults up to the counter, grabs a bean, and runs off again. So I'm not exactly sure how many beans my cat ran off with. And why? I don't know. I've never met a cat that eats beans. Have you? And does that mean that I'm going to have to put up with cat flatulence later? I don't know. These are all questions. And here's the other thing. I always like to share my food. If I make a batch of something, I'll make a big batch, and I'll take some to my mom and my stepfather, and or a neighbor that's sick or whatever. Like, I like to share. Well, I can't share that now that my cat's lips have been all over the beans. I can't share that at all. I'm hoping that the heat from cooking will kill the germs. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. And I'll save this special batch for myself and not share others, because I don't think that they'd be happy to know that my cat's lips were all over the beans. All right, now that had nothing to do with anything, but it's just one of those things that I felt compelled to share. So let's get started with Q, because that's why you're here. Now, here is the first drop from March 27th. And I like this, actually. An Anon says, "Wish me luck, fags. This Anon has an interview with an intelligence agency tomorrow. Very nervous." And I bet you that he or she is very nervous. Actually, their interview would have been today. I really sincerely hope that they did well. And Q, I think this is very nice, responds and says, "Good luck, Patriot. Audis should consider joining ABC's /military intel programs if interested. Ability to decipher complex info strings is a valued asset. Q." So I think that that's very nice, that not only did he respond to this person, but he encouraged other Audis and Anons to apply as well. So there you go. If you are of such a mindset, might be a good position for you. I'm sure that they could use some patriots in those agencies. Anyway, let's move on. Now, this is a little bit of an odd post, sort of, not really, but a little bit, because, well, first of all, an anon is asking a question. Q, digging on MAGA coalition shows obvious fraud. Also, those associated are non-stop attacking and obviously coordinated. Why would a PAC, a Political Action Committee, attack us? Well, indeed, why would a political action committee called MAGA Coalition be attacking patriots in the MAGA movement? That doesn't make sense, does it? Of course not. So why would a PAC attack us? This in itself shows it's fake. This PAC also engages known shills / frauds. Do we still dig? Many reported to the IRS. So this anon is asking a perfectly legitimate question, and Q takes the time to answer them. But then he says down here, topic closed. So he answers the question, then he says topic closed. He's not wanting to discuss it further. And he does provide the information here, but well, let's just go forward here, because we're not going to get into this information, and I'll tell you why. Now, Q responds and says, some organizations do not have good intentions. Now, we know that, right? We know that not everybody in the movement has good intentions, and especially those that, you know, have organizations such as this that accept donations that is supposed to be going towards furthering the movement. And we know that there are people that started with this movement that have now turned against it totally. And I can understand turning against it if you have valid reasons, but saying that Q has been debunked is not a valid reason to me. So there are a lot of people in our camp that want to cause division and so forth. Now, if someone has a valid reason for not believing in Q or turning against Q, then I would listen to that. But nobody has so far. People that say they have all this evidence, I've looked at it all. I don't see it. I don't see that as being evidence. The more I look at Q, the more it proves that Q is who he, she says they are, and we know it's a group. But anyway, some organizations do not have good intentions. Due diligence required. Now, this is for everything in life, right? You know, due diligence is required. We highlighted this particular organization as one example, megacoalition.com. Now, he has some links here which basically show that they are a fraud, that it's a scam. And Q says, follow the money. Track donations versus expenses. Admin, fundraising, strategy and research, etc., etc. Expenses highly inflated. Well, yes, their expenses were highly inflated. And let me tell you, I worked for a nonprofit organization, which is, active, well, literally worldwide. And boy, I saw some abuses that I will not soon forget. And one of them is, there are all sorts of ways to hide money when you're laundering it. That is what Q is saying. Basically, you inflate the expenses. You say, oh yeah, we spent, all this amount of money over here, when really you might have spent a tenth of that. So anyway, he's saying track donations versus expenses. Are the expenses inflated? Yes, they are. Monthly installment payments made to names who can attract more donations. The wheel, by paying these names, they attract more donations, and it keeps it going around, right? The wheel. How much donated money was actually spent promoting MAGA / pro-MAGA candidates indirectly versus internal costs or wheel costs, keeping it going. And that's something, I mean, you could look at the Clinton Foundation, it's the same thing. You know, what they do, you know, as a charity is like this big, and the expenses are this big, right? Because it's money laundering. So, and then it has a link where you can report suspected tax fraud activity, which I did for the company that I and a friend of mine that also worked there had reported them, but I don't know if anything has been done or not. Anyway, that's a story for another day. And so when you offer better goods and services for free, there is no longer a need to donate, purchase, and or follow those who would use such platforms to enrich themselves. Hence, the attacks. Logical thinking always wins. Yeah, they attack those that are, you know, out there trying to push this to the public, not, I mean, there's lots of people that are working to push this and to disseminate it outward. There's also a lot of people that are working to cause division in the movement, and we know that. It's evident. So we do have to do our due diligence, and we do, you know, there's one person in particular that I used to listen to. I no longer listen to anymore because I don't believe that they are truly MAGA. I don't. I think that they are causing division. So I'm not going to mention the name because I think that that's unfair. That's the conclusion that I came to. You may have another conclusion. So I'm not going to give the name, but again, you're all intelligent enough and have enough discernment to, you know, discern for yourselves. Now, logical thinking always wins. Attempts to divide the movement draws light to their true intentions. If you're trying to divide the movement, and, you know, it's one thing to have questions. We all have questions. I have questions. There's questions that come up in me every day when I'm reading through this, but that's not division. You see, there's a big difference, you know, between asking questions and saying, yeah, but what about this? Q said this and this didn't happen. What about that? That is not causing division. That is clarification. Division is when you attack it and say, well, Q's been debunked, you know, whatever. Or I know who Q is, or Q is also communicating over here when Q said that the 8chan, 4chan, 8chan is the only place he communicates. So things like that. Anyway, it says attempts to divide the movement draw light to their true intentions. This is about the survival of our nation, our world, not funding scams. End of topic. Keep your eye on the ball. Q. So when Q says end of topic, I think he's told us everything we need to know without us spending a lot of time and energy going through all this and looking at the fact that it's a scam and a fraud when he's already told us that. So, but he has provided the links for those that may want to look for themselves. Now, I did look through it and not really in depth, but I looked through it enough to know that, yes, scam and fraud. Now, below I have said MAGA coalition is a scam and many donated thinking they were supporting the MAGA movement. The paid consultants were the Threat Knowledge Group, which is owned by Gorka's wife. So there you go. And I think that that's all we need to say about that. And we can move on. And we will, and we shall, and we are. Okay, now, here's a little, not the first time we've seen this picture, by the way. This is a much younger Adam Schiff, and with a very young child. Well, not really young, but, I mean, you know, I think we can tell it's not his son. So, you know, this Anon has provided this picture, and Q Oh, and then it says, let your enemy dig their own grave. Every time Schiff talks, he turns Americans away. Although charges against Schiff would be pretty badass. So this Anon posts this picture, which reminds us all of the drops. And if you are new to all this, then you may not know about that. But Adam Schiff, pretty sure that he is involved in very nefarious situations with the Standard Hotel. And that's something that you might want to, if you're not up to speed on that, if you haven't been following the movement, you might want to look out there and just do a Google search, Standard Hotel, Adam Schiff, and look that up. But there's also a lot of indications that he may like children maybe more than he should, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. So beneath this, Q says, watch Hannity tonight. POTUS may have a few words on the subject. Q. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to watch Hannity last night because I was actually, I think I was recording during that time. And so I'm not sure exactly what POTUS said about Adam Schiff, although I think that I can imagine. But let's take a little look at a few things I have found for us to look at that tells us what we need to know here. Things are not going to go well for Adam Schiff. They're not going to go well for him at all. And I think that we can take that to the bank. We might not be able to cash it, but we can take it to the bank. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, I'm too full of chili. All right. Now, this is Steemit, and it's about, P-Gate, P-I-Z-Z-A, or Z if you're in Canada. Anyway, this is the Little Kids Foundation. Trump and Adam Schiff. On February 18th, President Trump mocked Adam Schiff in a tweet, but could there be some deeper meaning hinted there? Note the spelling little, L-I-D-D-L-E. Why not little, L-I-T-T-L-E? Is this a coincidence? No. And, I think it's so funny when people used to go on about, and even back then, like even before I really got into this, like people would say, about Trump's tweets and stuff and misspellings and this and that. Even then I thought, no way, because I know that, in a situation like that his tweets are probably checked and double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked before they go out. So I just don't think he's not that stupid. Do you think that this man would have, some of the most expensive hotels in the world, all over the world? This man has built an empire. He's not an idiot. Anyway, so here is the original Trump, and it is from a little over a year ago, the 18th of February, 2018. Finally, little Adam Schiff, the leaking monster of no control, is now blaming the Obama administration for Russian meddling in the 2016 election. He is finally right about something. Obama was president, knew of the threat, and did nothing. Thank you, Adam. Now, why on earth would he put L-I-D-D-L-E? Well, those of you that have been listening to me for a long time know, because we've covered it. And we're about to look at it now. The Little Kids Foundation has had several training workshops within Adam Schiff's 28th District of California. I've also seen the two share an address, although I can't verify. I'll still leave those pictures down below. Again, note the spelling. Tina Allen, the founder of Little Kids, has a long history of working in the Hollywood area, as does Adam Schiff. The organization is a global non-profit offering internationally accredited pediatric and infant massage certifications. Now, I know the last time that we went out and looked at this website, it made me ill. I mean, it really did, because there was something very wrong about it. Now, you know what? If you're a parent and you want to give your baby a massage their back, but what is wrong with that? Nothing. Nothing. But there was something wrong with this. Now, we'll go out and look at that website just briefly so you can see. Check it out yourself. You can't make this up. I don't know about you guys, but this whole idea seems a bit fishy and crazy to me. It sounds like a cover for an organization to go touch vulnerable kids around the world. That's exactly what it is. That's what it actually is. WTF? Am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. And this is, look at this. Little babies here. We love it. Welcome to Little Kids Foundation. Little Kids is the gold standard for pediatric touch therapy education and hospital-based program development, training, and implementation across the globe. And hang on here. Let's actually go out to the website. They've probably taken it off, the offensive stuff, because it caused quite a stir, but we'll see if it's still there. Now, I know, you're probably thinking, well, what's wrong with pediatric touch? And nothing. You know, if you know, a baby can, I mean, I go to a chiropractor every week because I have, and I go for laser treatments on my back because I have a spinal injury. And, you know, touch and massage helps me a great deal, as does chiropractic adjustment. So, no, there's nothing wrong with that. There's valid reasons to be massaging or touching an infant, especially one that's colicky or whatever. But you know, the thing is, these kind of workshops and stuff, who are they going to attract? Because the infants are there being massaged. Who do you think it attracts? Well, let's go take a look. If it's still there. Well, it is. Yep. It was some of the, well, see, look at how many places. I would love to crash one of those. If there was one near me, I would. Chattanooga, I guess, would be the closest one to me. Oh, Asheville. Asheville, North Carolina is probably closer than Chattanooga. Oh, Falls Church, Virginia. There you go. That's the closest to me. Tokyo, Japan. So anyway, and I think that what drew the most is the videos, which I'm not going to play, but you know, you've got, like, look at this man where he's touching this infant. These are not their parents, by the way. Some of them are, but you know, some of them are teachers or whatever, that are leading the course or what have you, or the people that are learning how to do this. So yeah, check it out. It's called Little Kids with a Z, .com, and you can, there are some videos on there that you can play, and you tell me if you think it's appropriate. I definitely do not think it's appropriate, and I think that it's yeah, anyway, let's go back. Now, Q did lead us to that in the past, but I just wanted to show you. And here is, there is the text, and I guess that's all we have for that. So let's get rid of that and go on. Okay, I probably belabored that a little bit, but it's important. All right, now here we've got the next drop, and there's a link to Breitbart, and it says maximum transparency, panic in DC. Q. Now, let's take a look at this, because we can. And, oh, They're selling t-shirts. Total exoneration, breaking the heart of the resistance. Love it. Love it. Anyway, it says exclusive. Devin Nunes sending criminal referral to DOJ over Spygate. Time to go on the offensive, or time to go on offensive. Or, I'm sorry, time to go on offense, which actually does not make sense. It should be time to go on the offensive. But, you know, so, and we're not going to read this whole thing. The important thing is that it's been referred to the DOJ. House Intelligence Committee ranking member Devin Nunes is planning to send a criminal referral next week to the Justice Department that will derail multiple referrals on a number of different crimes, including leaking classified information as part of his investigation into misconduct at the Justice Department and the FBI. As of now, it will be one criminal referral, but with multiple referrals on a number of different crimes. He told Breitbart News on Wednesday in an exclusive interview, "We will have some leakers in there for sure." He said on the ending of the special counsel investigation after it found that Trump campaign did not collude with Russia, "We knew this was a joke from the beginning, and I've said as much for a long time, basically from the time my report came out, which has been a year. But now the real work begins. It's good to not have that sitting out there, but we have to go on offense and track down all these dirty cops and bad players." I agree. In addition, Nunes said he plans to interview about 50 people, some who have never been called before Congress, who were involved or know about the pushing of the P dossier within various U.S. government agencies and its use to get a surveillance warrant on former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Nunes, who took a beating from mainstream news outlets for challenging the Russia collusion narrative, wants to get to the bottom of how it all began, which he said was long before the FBI claims they officially began their investigation of the Trump campaign in late July 2016. I said I wasn't going to read it all, but I do want to read a bit more because there's really good information here. It all stems from the fact that we know that this investigation started long before the end of July. He said, "We are quite confident that this investigation started long before they told us that it did." He said it reaches all the way back to the Obama White House, though it is not yet clear how involved former President Barack Obama was. Look, there's big problems that the public needs to know about. Maximum transparency is the best thing here, he said. Nunes said he believes Barr will have to act on his criminal referral. There'll be things in there that cannot be ignored. There will be crimes, so they have to be dealt with, he said. He told Fox News on Tuesday he would target people who lied to Congress, perjury, and criminal conspiracy. As far as his Democrat colleagues who have not given up the idea that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, he said, referring to the mythical beast, "These guys are chasing chupacabra." I know what that is. It's like a weird animal, but I'm not sure that I pronounced it correctly. That really is what they're looking for. Unicorns, the Loch Ness Monster, they're interchangeable, he said. Nunes said the question of whether his Democrat colleague, Representative Adam Schiff, should resign as chairman of the House Intel Committee should be directed to Democrat leadership. Well, you know they're not going to do anything. "I'll let our leadership speak to that. My job is to work with whoever is there. At the end of the day, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi makes the decision. But I'll just say that I think more journalists need to ask real questions to Team Chupacabra," he said. Now, that's awesome. I really like Devin Nunes. I really do. And I was listening actually over here earlier before I started recording, and this is the House Intel Committee holding hearings as part of Russia investigation, and boy oh boy was I ever impressed with Mr. Stewart, because he questioned the and you can tell he's a very soft-spoken man. He said he's not somebody that seeks the limelight, but he asked them, he said, how can he said that they were saying that not only there wasn't enough evidence of collusion. There wasn't enough evidence to meet the legal requirement of charging him or whatever with collusion. However, Mr. Stewart said, no, that's not right. That is not what Mueller said. Mueller said there is no evidence whatsoever of collusion. He didn't say, well, there's a little evidence, but not enough evidence to prove it. No, he didn't say that at all. So Mr. Stewart said, so, you guys are saying, yeah, well, there was evidence of collusion there, but there wasn't enough to actually legally meet the legal, definition or whatever, or meet the legal threshold of burden of proof. Okay, well, that's not true because Mueller said no, there isn't any evidence. So anyway, he said, well, if you really believe that there is collusion, then actually what you're saying is that Trump is guilty of treason. And if Trump is guilty of treason, which is a very, very serious thing, why are you not seeking impeachment? If you actually believe that, why are you not seeking impeachment? You can't have it both ways. You can't say, yes, there's evidence there of collusion, but there wasn't enough evidence to meet the legal threshold for the burden of proof. You can't say that and yet say, well, yeah, so that means that he's guilty of treason, but, well, whatever, right? You can't have it both ways. So I really enjoyed that. If you, I'm not sure how long, it's 3 hours, so it's a lot for any one person to have to sit and listen to, but it is very good and it was very eye-opening. Believe me. So anyway, I just gave you that little nugget that I got today from listening to that. And let's go back. So Trump is saying maximum transparency. Well, you know what maximum transparency means? It means that they're panicking because they don't, they don't want their houses to be made of glass, if you know what I mean. They don't want people looking into their business and finding out, especially the public, which is why the anti-lynching law was so important. I think that's what I think personally, because they're afraid and they need to be. They need to be. All right. Now, here Q is saying the DOJ coordination with UK regarding declass of FISA. Now, he's telling us right here that it's not a question. He's saying there is DOJ coordination with the UK, part of our Five Eyes, alliance, regarding the declassification of FISA. Now, why? Because they're involved in this. I mean, Christopher Steele was a UK resident, as far as I know, and so and they were involved in spying. So yeah, I think that they are coordinating with that, and also probably to extradite Christopher Steele back to the States where he can be questioned. And he said, think plane tracking. Q. Now, remember that, think plane tracking, and that was, there was a plane that was over in London, and people were making all sorts of surmisals about why it was there and so forth. That's what he's talking about there, and I do believe there's a little bit more on that coming up. So, let's go on. And Q is making this available from an earlier drop. This was on March 14th, and it said, remember this important fact. Adam Schiff is part of the Gang of Eight. Intel. It will become critical once Gang of Eight material is declassified. Logical question. If Adam Schiff knew everything he's investigating and stating publicly to be knowingly false, disinformation, why then would he take the course of action? Okay, sorry, hang on here. This is, I'm going to make this a little smaller so I can fit it all in one and read it. There we go. All right. I guess I could do this too. There we go. All right. Remember this important fact. Okay, wait. logical question. If Adam Schiff knew everything he's investigating and stating publicly to be knowingly false or disinformation, which he does, evidently, why then would he take the course of actions ongoing? Did Adam Schiff purposefully deceive the American public, thinking the Gang of Eight material and other classified documentation would never reach the public domain? Yes, that's exactly what he thought. What insurance did they hang over POTUS's head in order to prevent action? The indictment of his children. That's what they were holding over his head. A father's love for his children knows no bound. Q. So, yeah, they were holding that over his head, but they are no longer holding that over his head. Obviously, Trump now has the upper hand. He's been exonerated. No collusion, no evidence of collusion. It's not a case of not being enough evidence to meet the legal threshold. It's a case of there is no collusion. None. There's no evidence of collusion because it was all based on a lie and a fraudulent dossier, which was not based on truth. So let's go on. No, really, let's. Okay. Now, okay, that's from an Anon, and actually I clipped that off of the 8chan board. This is not from Q, this is from me, just to kind of add to our knowledge, because here we have, let's go all the way up, all the way up. All right, here's where it starts. We've got two Twitter accounts that Q is referencing, and the first one is my deplorable dearest, Comey. When Trump fired me, I thought that's potentially obstruction of justice. Not too smart, is he? All right, and then the other tweet is this from James Comey himself. I bet some of you saw this. I saw this and I thought, that's one bizarre man there. So there he is looking up at the, I think those are giant redwoods, are they? It looks kind of like it looks on the west coast of Canada, the redwoods, and anyway, I guess it really doesn't much matter, does it? He's staring up at a bunch of trees. And he says so many questions as he's looking up at the trees. All right. Now, Q says, he thought he was part of the plan, endgame. Hence why Rod Rosenstein drafted the recommendation letter to fire. So many questions. Who has full control? These people are stupid. Indictment's coming. Q. Now he's asking that as a question, but it's not a question. It's a statement. Indictments are coming. Yes. And Rod Rosenstein, okay, so who has full control? POTUS. Yeah. These people think that they're still in control, or maybe they're not even under that illusion anymore, disillusion. I don't know, but they're not. So let's come down here, gain a little bit more understanding. So I clipped this out from an Anon because I thought it was particularly good. Comey, when Trump fired me, I thought that's potentially obstruction of justice. By Elizabeth Zweers, Fox News, former FBI Director James Comey said in an interview Wednesday that President Trump may have obstructed justice in his decision to fire him. Former FBI Director James Comey said in an interview Wednesday that okay, why is this twice? I don't know. Actually, it's there 3 times. Comey's remark came via a clip from his NBC Nightly News interview, during which Lester Holt brought the conversation back to early May 2017 when Comey testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee. During that hearing, Comey spoke on a variety of topics, including the Clinton email investigation. Flashback. Trump fires FBI Director Comey, but you declined to answer questions specifically about evidence of collusion at that point. A couple of days later, you're fired, Holt said. Comey replied, I thought that's potentially obstruction of justice. I hope somebody's going to look at that. The ousted official went on to say that he didn't know what was in Trump's head at the time. But what the president appears to be saying is, I got rid of this guy to shut down an investigation that threatened me, Comey said. Trump fired Comey on May 9, 2017, telling him in a brief letter that he could not effectively lead the Bureau. Well, wasn't that the case? Yes. Isn't that interesting how they twist everything? Everything is twisted by these people. You know? Oh yeah, he fired me not because I'm a lying, leaking ne'er-do-well, but he fired me because he's trying to obstruct justice. Right. Well, how can you obstruct justice in a case where there was no evidence, there's no crime? How can you obstruct justice when there's no crime? You can't. Does that make sense to anyone? I'm telling you. These people, like, sometimes make me think, like, am I crazy? Well, I mean, I am a little, but not in that way. So let's go on. And here we have a lovely American flag with the sun shining through it. The light is shining through the flag, and it's a beautiful picture, if you ask me. I love the American flag. I really do. I can't wait for the day that I'm back in the States. I hope that's soon. It's difficult. I know a lot of people say, well, why can't you come back to the States, or, can we help in any way or whatever? And I appreciate that. But the issue is that I came back when my brother died tragically. He is my only brother. And my mom is elderly. She's in her 80s, and, her health is declining. And I spent most of my life, my adult life in the States, away from my family and, my extended family and my immediate family, my mother and my father, now my stepfather. And yeah, I'd fly home every year, and once or twice a year I flew home, and, usually mom and dad or just mom would fly down to see me once a year, but still not the same. And as she's getting older, she's needing help to get to doctor's appointments and this and that. So I feel very, very torn. And I love my mother. I would do anything for her, and I am willing to sacrifice my temporary happiness to give her what she needs in her later years. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. My plan maybe was to spend the winters down in the States and the summers here, because I could take my mother and my stepfather with me to the States where it's warm and they would be out of these harsh winters. But we'll see. But if you are a believer, you can pray about that for me, because I would really appreciate it. And I don't know, but I'm really hoping that something works out for me, because I miss the States terribly. I love the United States, and I love the Americans. I love them. And I consider myself an American, even though I'm not a citizen, but that is my goal. All right. I'm what is considered a legal alien. I've got a green card. All right. Anyway, I don't know where all that came from, but let's go on. So here is the part about the plane that we were discussing. And this person, this Anon, said, a rarely seen U.S. Department of Justice jet N996GA flew to London on Tuesday and has not been recorded as leaving. So that's a little odd, and that was picked up on by the Anons, who are pretty sharp people. And then below we have a screenshot of Q's drop. Actually, the one that we just looked at, actually, he said DOJ coordinating with UK regarding declassification of FISA. Think plane tracking. So Um, below, this Anon is asking the following. Think plane tracking? So is the DOJ plane in the UK picking up another passenger beside the CP King? Christopher Steele is key to the dossier and basis for the FISA and would probably have an indictment. Is he getting shipped over here to the US? Are we going to be seeing him in front of the Senate? UK is helping to declass FISA? No, I don't think that they're helping to declass FISA. No, not at all. I think that though I think that there are probably ongoing discussions about that with the UK. And Q responds and says, reference correct. So they are in the UK picking up a passenger, perhaps Christopher Steele. We don't know because he says below, details classified. 1 to 99. Now, I'm not exactly sure what classified 1 to 99 means. And this is not the first time I've run across that. We've run across this. If you happen to know, you know, I'm not sure if this is something that's well known or if I'm not sure what it means anyway. So if any of you do, I'd appreciate you putting it in the comments below. And so I said this Anon asks if drop number 3225 is referring to a DOJ plane in London. She wonders actually I missed a few words there, if they are there to extradite Steele to testify. Q says that the reference is correct, but the details are classified. So I'm thinking that Q is saying that that's correct about Christopher Steele, but all the details, of course, would be classified. So that's how I read that. But Q may be saying, yeah, we're there to pick up somebody, but the details are classified. May or may not be Christopher Steele. I don't know. I think it is, but that's up to you guys to determine what you think this means. All right. Now to the fun part. I'm looking at the time because I am supposed to be going to the gym later with a friend, and I'm going to the gym, and then I'm coming back and doing the decode for today's drops. So I was just checking out the time there. All right. So here we have this, and we're getting to some fun stuff right here, because this provided by Q. Now I don't know if Q did this or if this is from an Anon, but Q certainly posted it, and it has watch number 1, 3:15, and what he's referring to is the time on the watch here, and that was posted on January 5th, 2019, and over here we've got watch number 2, and it's at 3:42. Posted March 2nd, 2019. Now, if we look at this tweet by POTUS Schedule, it says March 15th, 2019. March 15th, of course, is 3:15. And it says a declaration of a national emergency on the southern border was authorized by U.S. Attorney William Barr in the Oval Office at 3:42 p.m. Why not 3:40? Why not 3:41? Because 3:42, we were supposed to watch the watch or pay attention to the watch. So watch number 1, March 15th at 3:42, that was signed. And below it says, how did Q know? And Q responds. He says, shall we play another Q-proof game? Q. And let's go on. And an Anon says, ready, sir. Yeah, bring it on. Let's do another Q-proof game. All right, so that's what this is. And we've got watch number 1, or marker 1, he said, set. Marker 1, set. Q. All right. And let's go out to a bigger picture of that so you can see it. And there we go. That is marker 1. Let's go back. And it says marker 1 set. Then and this will all pull together in a minute. And then the next drop is referring to the first one, this one that we just looked at, and then Q adds marker 2, set, Q. Let's take a look at that up close. And this is marker 2. All right, let's go back. Now, I'm going to scroll down here, and this is from an anon that I clipped from the Chans because I thought it succinctly sums up what we just looked at. Marker 1, hour 4, minute 49, second 0, day 19, hour counter 0, minute counter 0, second hand small 30. Marker 2, hour 3, minute 5, second 0, day 27, hour counter 0, minute counter 0, second hand small 30. So let's go on, because as of yet we don't know what this means, right? Because he's saying it's a Q proof. So in the future at some point we're going to look back at this and go, oh yeah, okay. So it will make sense, and it'll end up being another Q proof. But there's more interesting things with this to come. So stay tuned. Let's go on. Now, let's go up to the next post. The next 2 posts, and then I'm going to show you something, okay? The next post says, reflections are important. Q. So, there's a reflection that we're supposed to look at, okay? And then, the next one, referring to that we just read, reflections are important. Q says, find the reflection inside the castle. Q. Now, I have seen some pretty far out interpretations of this, but I am 100% sure on this interpretation that I'm about to give you. I would eat the beans that the cat had his lips all over if I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. So, reflections are important. Now, do you know what this part of a watch is called? Right up here by the stem? Right here where we can see a reflection? That's right, it's called a castle. Yes, it is. So, and to prove that to you, I clipped this out. Mechanical watch Wikipedia. A mechanical watch is a watch that uses a clockwork mechanism to measure the passage of. Anyway, the stem attached to the crown has a gear called the clutch or castle wheel with 2 rings of teeth that project axially from the ends. So this stem, up near the stem part, is called a castle, even though I don't know if this is a mechanical watch or not. I don't know what counts as a mechanical watch and what doesn't, but you know, this part up here is definitely called a castle. And if you look, there is definitely a reflection there. Now, who do you think the reflection is? Well, definitely this is POTUS watch. How do I know that? Well, it's the same watch that we looked at before for the POTUS proof, right? The one that it's the same watch, and it's by IWC,
And let me tell you, this watch is extremely expensive. These watches start around $8,000. So, and this is probably even more expensive because, it belongs to Trump. He's a billionaire. I mean, come on. So we know that this isn't just some Joe Schmo watch. Because, I mean, really, not a lot of people have that kind of money to put into a watch. Some do, but not very many, really. Not to drop, there's a lot of people that have expensive watches, but that's really expensive, if you ask me. So, yeah, not a lot of people can do that. So that's why I am convinced that is POTUS watch, and I am convinced that that is a POTUS reflection. You can sort of see the color of hair. You can see that whoever it is wearing a dark suit. So I'm pretty sure this is POTUS there, and it was placed there on purpose, and he drew our attention to it on purpose. So there you go. Interesting. I think it's very interesting. Let me see if I have anything else. Nope. Let's go on. And this, I'm not sure that I understand because Q is making reference to an anon. And of course, this little 0 and a 7 is like, it's like a graphic of the salute. So he's saluting, and it says, and Hannity in 10. And Q just responds and acknowledges. Because I thought Q was on Hannity, or not Q, POTUS was on Hannity at 9. But maybe that's, I don't know, 9 Eastern time, 10 Central. I don't know. So anyway, I'm not exactly sure what that means right there. It's probably something very simple, and I'm probably an idiot. But no, I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm lots of things, but I don't think I'm an idiot. Okay. Alrighty. Then we have this picture that we've become very familiar with. And this is Q posting this along with a link to an article. And he said, did you enjoy the interview? Q. Now, let's take a look at what Q is pointing us towards. Or toward, not towards. Trump vows to release FISA docs now that Mueller probe is concluded. Slams treasonous FBI. Ooh, this is good. President Trump, in an exclusive wide-ranging interview Wednesday night with Fox News' Hannity, vowed to release the full and unredacted Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA warrants, and related documents used by the FBI to probe his campaign, saying he wants to get to the bottom of how the long-running Russian collusion narrative began. Trump told anchor Sean Hannity that his lawyers previously had advised him not to take that dramatic step out of fear that it could be considered obstruction of justice. I have plans to declassify and release. I have plans to absolutely release, Trump said. I have some very talented people working for me, lawyers, and they really didn't want me to do it early on. A lot of people wanted me to do it a long time ago. I'm glad I didn't do it. We got a great result without having to do it, but we will. One of the reasons that my lawyers didn't want me to do it, they said, if I do it, they'll call it a form of obstruction. And they would have. Trump added, frankly, thought it would be better if we held it to the end, but at the right time, we will be absolutely releasing. Trump also accused FBI officials of committing treason, slamming former FBI James Comey as a terrible guy, former CIA Director John Brennan as potentially mentally ill, and Democratic House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff as a criminal. Redacted versions of FISA documents already released have revealed that the FBI extensively relied on documents produced by Christopher Steele, an anti-Trump a British ex-spy working for a firm funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign and Democratic National Committee to surveil Trump aide Carter Page. At least one senior DOJ official had apparent concerns Steele was unreliable, according to the text messages exclusively obtained last week by Fox News. The leaked dossier and related FBI surveillance kickstarted a media frenzy on alleged Russia-Trump collusion that ended with a whimper on Sunday when it was revealed special counsel Robert Mueller's probe concluded finding no evidence of such a conspiracy. Not a little evidence, but not enough. No evidence. Despite several offers by Russians to help the Trump campaign, Page was never charged with wrongdoing, and he is currently suing the DNC for defamation. I hope he wins. Citing a high-level source, Kentucky GOP Senator Rand Paul late Wednesday tweeted anti-Trump ex-CIA Director John Brennan had internally pushed the dossier. Fox News has not independently verified Paul's source. I think Brennan's a sick person. I really do, Trump said. I believe there's something wrong with him. For him to come out of the CIA and act that way was so disrespectful to the country and to the CIA. He was not considered good at what he did. He was never a respected guy. And there he is again, looking like like his pants are full. All right, and Brennan was one of the loudest and most virulent, never mind. Another word I have trouble pronouncing. Voices to trumpet the Russia collusion theory over the past 2 years, asserting falsely just weeks ago that Mueller was likely planning to indict members of the Trump's administration's family in a scene reminiscent of the Ides of March and the assassination of Julius Caesar. Trump, who revoked Brennan's security clearance last year amid concerns Brennan was improperly hinting that he had inside information about ongoing federal probes, called those remarks horrible on Wednesday. Brennan has since acknowledged he was wrong, but has said inaccurately that Mueller merely could not find evidence meeting the high bar needed for a criminal prosecution, when in fact Mueller found no evidence at all that the Trump team responded to Russia's numerous efforts to involve them in a conspiracy. When I said there could be someone spying on my campaign, it went wild out there, Trump told Hannity. They couldn't believe I could say such a thing. As it turned out, that was small potatoes compared to what went on. Millions and millions spent on a phony dossier, and then they used the dossier to start things. It was a fraud paid for by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Just hours earlier, Wednesday, Trump made clear he was enthusiastic about the idea of appointing a special counsel to review the origins of the Russian investigation when it came up during a meeting Tuesday with Republican senators, a source familiar with the discussion told Fox News. Trump, speaking to Hannity separately, raised doubts about the secretive and mysterious June 27, 2016 Phoenix Airport tarmac meeting between Bill Clinton and then Attorney General Loretta Lynch, which was spotted while Lynch was overseeing the Hillary Clinton email probe. I had a lot of planes for a long time. I've never stopped the plane on a tarmac to let somebody on the plane, Trump said. Bill Clinton said he was there to play golf, but I know that area very well. Arizona, it's a little warm at that time of year for golf, okay? Gotta love Trump. He's pretty awesome. In an apparent shot at former Attorney General Jeff Sessions, Trump also told Hannity this all would not have happened if Attorney General William Barr had been with his administration from the beginning. Trump also noted that ratings for several networks that aggressively pushed the Russian narrative have fallen off dramatically. MSNBC host Rachel Maddow audience of 2.5 million on Monday was 19% below her average this year, and it went down further to 2.3 million on Tuesday, according to the Nielsen Company. If you wrote this as a novel, nobody would buy it. It would be a failure because it would be too unbelievable, Trump said. We're getting to the bottom of it. This can never ever happen to a president again. This was a disgrace and an embarrassment to our country. Hopefully they won't get away with it. Yes, I think we all feel that way. Now, normally I wouldn't read all this, but this is so good. It's very, very good. We'll have to see how it all started, but I'm going to leave that to other people, including the Attorney General and others, to make that determination, Trump continued. 50 years, 100 years from now, if someone tries the same thing, they have to know the penalty will be very, very great if and when they get caught. Now, what do you think he's saying right there? He's saying we're going to make an example of these people so that it never happens again. That's exactly what he's saying. And the penalty is going to be extreme. It's going to be very, very great, he said. All right. Trump also lashed out at Schiff, who has pushed strongly for investigations into possible Trump-Russia links. Schiff is a bad guy. He knew he was lying. He's not a dummy. For a year and a half, he would just leak and call up CNN and others. You know, I watch him. So sanctimonious. He knew it was a lie, and he'd get back in the back room with his friends in the Democrat Party, and they would laugh like hell. In one way, you could say it's a crime what he did. He was making statements he knew were false. He's a disgrace to our country. Agreed. He's a disgrace to humankind. The president insisted the U.S. should have a great relationship with Russia and China, but that fake news and nonsense distorted his intentions into something more sinister. And yes, that's exactly what happened. Trump also criticized Comey, whom he fired in 2017 as a terrible guy. He insisted he did not fire him to obstruct justice, telling Hannity he knew that firing Comey would only increase scrutiny on the White House. It was treason. It was really treason, Trump said, referring to the text between former FBI Special Agent Peter Strzok and former FBI lawyer Lisa Page that discussed an insurance policy in the event of Trump's election. You had dirty cops. You had people who are bad FBI folks. At the top, they were not clean, to put it mildly, he said later. We can never allow these treasonous acts to happen to another president. I love this, though. I do. I have plans to declassify and release. Yes. Separately, Trump also said he hopes Democrats continue pushing the Green New Deal, which flamed out in a test vote on Tuesday as most Democrats voted present instead of going on record supporting the sweeping transformation of the entire U.S. economy. I don't want to speak badly about the Green New Deal, frankly, because I'm afraid they will stop using it, Trump said. I really do want to campaign against it. It's ridiculous. He's right. Trump's interview came as multiple GOP lawmakers have claimed the president may have somewhat undercut perhaps the best week of his presidency by backing the complete overturn of Obamacare. On Monday, the Justice Department asked the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans to affirm. Okay, well, I'm not going to go into the Obamacare thing right now because that is not what we're dealing with right now. So anyway, that's just an awesome article and kind of sums up what happened with Trump on Hannity. All right, let's go back now. I think I've been talking here for a long time, and I'm wondering if I should cut it off now. And actually, no, I think we are almost at the end, to tell you the truth. So no, I'm not going to. So there. Here we go. Now, this is another article showing internal email from Fox's office shows push to defend move to drop Smollett charges. And as we learned yesterday in the drops, feds, DOJ will prosecute. It shall be done. Now, I'm not going to go out to that interview because we covered that quite extensively yesterday. So we know what has happened there. And we know that Q has told us feds, the DOJ, will prosecute. He's asking it as a question. It's not a question. It's a statement. It shall be done. All right. Then we have this. And it says, Chicago needs another hero. And it says, Patriots are in control, Q. Awesome. And I think, and then we have this. We have this one. How many do we have left here? Oh, just a couple. All right. I just don't want to, keep you here forever, because, you know, I know my bum's getting numb, and I don't like numb bum, so you probably don't like it any more than I do. Okay, now this is a link. Q has provided us a link to a Twitter account, and he said, "We see you, Patriot." Q. And it says, "This is me. In case I can't find you on Where We Go One, We Go All site. Thanks, Patriot." And by the way, there is a site where WG1 or WGA.com, there is a new site there, and I haven't had a chance to really check it out, but it's kind of, I guess, a new platform for patriots. So I think that I will definitely sign up over there and check it out, because, well, we're not welcome everywhere, are we? No. All right, and here, there's a picture here on this as well of Trump Tower. And beneath it, it says, "Trust the plan." Q. Trust the plan. And let's go on. The next one, Q responds, Q responds to an anon who says, "Q is everywhere." And Q responds to him and says, "We are everywhere." Q. Because certainly Q is a group of people, but Q is also all of us as well. And we're all in this together. So we're all in the boat together, and it's the only boat afloat right now because we don't have much choice. We really don't. Look at the choice on the other side. There's no choice. So we have to get behind this and back this and get our country back. So that's it for now. I'm going to sign off, and I will be back. I'm going to run to the gym, so my hair will probably be all plastered to my head when I get back, but you know, I'll come back and bring you the drops from tonight. So that's it for now. Seek truth, because deception bites. But I don't. And that's the important thing. All right. I'll talk to you later. I hope to see you back later. I'll be here. I hope you're here too. Bye-bye.